Is it 2 base all in? There's no recovery? No. Third base. The signs of a 2 base, if you're referring to the last game, the signs of a 2 base all in would be 5 Raxes, but remember, he only had 3. He only had 3 Raxes. That's why I emphasized that we were waiting to see either a third TC or 2 more Raxes, like one or the other. So those are the signs that you should be looking for when it comes to a TVP like that. But here we go, we're jumping into our fresh best of 3, and spawning in the top right hand corner of ShoWTimE, we have the German Protoss player, the red Protoss. Whew, it is ShoWTimE. And we'll see if he can achieve what Hero could not. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg. Representing his new team, representing Weibo Gaming, it is SHIN. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is a Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we jump into our best of 3 ZVP. I see someone asking, is this live? Shout out to the bots for responding already, but if the cast isn't live, it would say in the chat. So if we ever do like a different kind of broadcast, we never do like rebroadcast. That's never quite done. I think we might have had one rebroadcast before, like in our 7 years of casting, I think. But here we go. Gonna be settling in. And again, for those that are curious about day 3, remember this is still not the end of the group stage. Day 3 is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be day 3 at around the same time. So we'll be here on the channel to bring that to you live. Otherwise, we have our standard openers, Gate expand into Cybercore at a ShoWTimE. Likewise, SHIN going hatch gas pool. Let's go. Let us go. Oh, right. When it comes to the cast is live, but I should also emphasize for some of these matches, especially because it's really early in Europe right now. For example, the EU versus EU matches, for example, are like from replays. They are played out ahead of time, and then we do cover them live here. We don't know the results coming in. The players, I suppose, do, but we do have a third party. We do have an admin that does actually host the lobbies and brings myself. Inu's also casting in Korean. And I believe we're going to be having more casters for the playoffs. I believe that's where like we're going to have like Spanish casters like Enki, or potentially even Brazilian casters like Cosmos, once we get into the playoff portion of the bracket. Of the tournament. I say playoff bracket. They have their own unique system. We'll be going over the Wikipedia page after the broadcast. Like once we wrap up this series, we'll be going through it. But now though, we do have our hash gas pool, standard opener out of SHIN. Oracle is on the way. So far, everything's looking normal. Everything's looking as it should. Caster tournament? No, I mean the other casters when it comes to covering the events. Like for the group stage, it's just an English and Korean stream. But I'm pretty sure like we're gonna have like Spanish casters and other language casters for the later parts of the tournament. Now there's ShoWTimE going for a Stargate opener, Oracle into a third base. Very standard play here out of ShoWTimE, claiming his third, settling in. Was harassing with Adepts and to get 3 drones, which is nice damage, don't get me wrong. Lings a counterattack, but the Oracle's in position and ShoWTimE is secure. Now, winding up back here, talking about the game itself, SHIN was hyper aggressive against Hero. As I mentioned previously, we saw a lot of all-ins out of SHIN, and he was able to break Hero. I mean, a lot of those games were really chaotic, really intense, and very close. They were very messy games. I'm curious if SHIN will have the same outlook against ShoWTimE. Will he also go for 3-base all-ins, or does he respect ShoWTimE's defensive prowess, and do we see more longer macro games instead? Do we play for the late game? We'll see, as the Oracle does get 1 drone so far. 1 drone goes down. Behind the Twilight counter into Forge, a standard follow-up out of ShoWTimE going into +1 and Blink. So far, everything is by the book from ShoWTimE, which is to be expected. Like, ShoWTimE, he isn't often cheesy. He does cheese in PvP, for sure, right? We even saw that earlier today. ShoWTimE did 1-base all-in max packs. That is true. And did succeed. But I feel like ShoWTimE's all-ins are usually reserved for PvP. So it's a different matchup. Different kind of back and forth. So now getting 2 more drone kills. SHIN going for his Roach Horn at his 3rd. So safety Roach Horn here at around 5 minutes. SHIN moves out. Gets into the natural. Nice around here on the shield battery. Shield battery goes down. Oracle's out of position. And these things are going for the Stalkers. Yeah, brutal pickoffs here as he's going to get at least 2 Stalkers, maybe even 3. There we go. 2 Stalkers go down. Trading minerals for gas. A better trade for SHIN. You know, if they get across the map, the Lings are not home to defend. Oh, this is going to be brutal here. Oracles, they dive in. 6 drones go down. Did I say 6? Getting up to 7. Almost 8. 6 workers do fall. The Oracles, they all get out. They all escape. Nice trades from ShoWTimE. And he rotates over looking for more damage. Now behind this, he's going into Storm as a follow-up. This is very, once again, very meta, very standard, very trendy as of late, especially with the NG overcharge now being a factor in PvZ. Going into High Templar, going into Storm, and having extra Storms as well is the go-to. Every now and then we still have, oh, as Lings do slip in. They tried to slip in, I should say, and we'll get a full scout. Every now and then we have players like Creator. Creator, for example, he can be quite fun of going into Colossus as a follow-up, which is still viable, but it's a little bit more old school. So very 2024 is what I will say. Going into Colossus. As stasis traps are being thrown down. Shield batteries as well. Jesus, ShoWTimE walling up completely here at the 3rd. And you can see the stark contrast. Remember the SHIN versus Hero games where whenever SHIN would all in, Hero would not have anything. He wouldn't even have a shield battery at the 3rd. Like, he wouldn't even have 1, let alone like 3 shield batteries and 3 cannons. Like ShoWTimE, he's fully walled up. And SHIN is getting a 4th base, and SHIN is teching. That's what's important here. SHIN, Infestation Bit is on the way. This is the first sign of Hive, the first sign of Lurker tech. And this is something that we rarely saw against Hero. And there we go. SHIN, he's droning. SHIN is droning. He is saturating. He's not going for the all-in. ShoWTimE is ready for a push that isn't really coming. As SHIN, he's posturing, he's trading with the army, picking up a couple of Stalkers. SHIN, he shouldn't commit into this. He doesn't. He rotates over. He's going to threaten the 4th. And again, SHIN is droning. SHIN is droning. SHIN is saturating. Likewise, Hydras are exposed. He's a brutal loss of SHIN. We have to get out of here. And SHIN, he will throw away so many Hydras. SHIN getting a little bit too excited. Should not have been here out on the map. Not with his Hydras, not like this. And that was how many? That was 15 Hydras for 4 Stalkers for nothing. And again, remember, SHIN was not all in. SHIN was droning. SHIN did not have to be here. And again, got too excited, bled out so many units. Behind this, he's switching into Lurkers. That is true, but now SHIN, he's weaker for it. And ShoWTimE, now he's walling out. Yeah. He's just chilling. He's replicating this defense here at his 4th base. I would say that at this point, ShoWTimE can be greedy. Like, that was a really strong fight. I mean, sorry, I should say ShoWTimE can do 2 things. He could either just commit across the map and just try to kill SHIN before Lurker tech. Like, SHIN lost so much there that ShoWTimE could just double down. Or he could be hyper greedy. And he is teching, right? Fleet Beacon's on the way. 2nd Stargate's on the way. 2nd Robo's on the way. He pokes out, denies the 4th base. This isn't too much of an extreme response, but nonetheless, ShoWTimE is getting a lot of damage. He's trading well. He's doing well for himself. Link Hydra collapsing in. We do see ShoWTimE overextend for a moment here, bleeding out some Archons, bleeding out some Stalkers. But SHIN cannot chase. He cannot chase this army, not against all these High Templar. So SHIN, he has to calm down. Calm down. Calm down, SHIN. There we go. Lurkers are on the way. And ShoWTimE, he's just poking and prodding and buying time for what? For Skytoss. Remember, double Stargate, Tempest production is on the way here for ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE, he's walled up and he's secure on 4 bases. And ShoWTimE's win condition is embrace Tempest production. And ShoWTimE is 1 step ahead. What does SHIN have? Hydra, Lurker, just Hydra Lurker, not even Vipers, not yet, but just Hydra Lurker. And this is more ideal against a ground army, but specifically against Tempest, they can reign supreme, they can overwhelm this. Now, we're not there yet. Shin is maxed. Shin is maxed out, he's pushing here and now. I think there's only one Tempest. Yeah, only one Tempest. So ShoWTimE, he is yet to reach his final form. There's a window in time where Shin can still kill ShoWTimE before Sky Toss. Ooh, storm going off. Oh, the Oracles overextend. One Oracle goes down. Massive storm of the Hydras, though. Storm does connect. More storms coming in. Storm just zones away. Doesn't quite connect. Shin pushing into the bases. Lurkers moving in as well. Side defense is falling. More High Templar coming in. Now building up to 2 Tempest. Here comes another storm. Better storm on the High. Oh my god. Better storm on the Hydras. Another Oracle falls, getting up to 3 Tempests, and ShoWTimE holds. Yeah, ShoWTimE, he holds. ShoWTimE, he will break this position. He will clean up every single Hydra, every single Lurker. We're hitting critical mass of Tempest. And Shin will lose everything. Initially, the fight was looking okay, but you saw that the storms were too good. The side defense, they did their job. Shin, he didn't kill any workers, did not touch the economy. ShoWTimE defends. And yeah, GG. GG gets called. Shin is just too far behind, and ShoWTimE, he will take game number 1. Whew, GG. Like, it was all on the line, all then and there. Shin, he had no further tech, no further setup. When it comes to Vipers, when it comes to Corruptors, again, rushing into Tempest like that is almost like a hard counter to Hydra Lurker play. Just because, like, there's no way to get under the Tempest or to deal with them. It was all or nothing for Shin. GG. Whew, GG, well played. We are now jumping into game number 2. Let's go. And we'll see how this story ends. Game 2 is going to be on Persephone. Demour. Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's like, again, like, ShoWTimE is known for that defensive play. Again, stylistically very different to Hero. Very different. And this is just a very different PvZ. I do recommend the VODs. I recommend the VODs to check out the Shin series previously versus Hero. A very different dynamic. But here we go. We're getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Persephone, we have the German Protoss player, the Red Protoss, leading the series 1-0. It is ShoWTimE. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Weibo Gaming, WBG. Down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. We'll see if he can bring it back and force the ace match. It is a SHIN. Here we go. I remember a decade ago there was a caster tournament. Yeah, the caster invitational back in the day. Technically, we had a caster show match recently, myself and Zombie Grub, but it's been a long time since something like that has happened. Long time. Don't know if there's much interest in that sort of thing anymore, unfortunately, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. For now, we are going to be settling in, and we'll see how Shin will change his approach. Once again, we saw last game, even ShoWTimE overreacting defensively, right? Like, if you remember, we saw him set up for a 3-base all-in, or set up to defend against a 3-base all-in at his 3rd base with a wall of stasis traps, cannons, shield batteries, an all-in that never came. But we could also say that Shin also overextended, right? Like, remember, there was that one moment where Shin was droning, Shin was taking, and Shin, for some reason, moved out with all of his Hydras, and he lost 15 Hydras. Like, we just have to calm down, chill out. We don't want to attack into ShoWTimE. Don't do it. We'll see. We'll see if Shin tries to be more economic and tries to be more greedy. We'll see if he doubles down. We'll see if he's like, you know what? You know what the problem was? I needed to be more aggressive and more all-in, and he just doubles down even further. We'll see. We'll see. For now, hatch gas pool. Shin going to be settling in. Likewise, standard opener out of ShoWTimE as well. Also just catching up with the chats. Interesting that MaxPax is doing worse than ever after mixing up his tactics a lot more. I would say that he no longer I would say his PvP is no longer as dominant as it once was. I think in years past it was very strong, very powerful, and and straight up, MaxPax had the best PvP in the world. That has shifted in the new meta. with the change to the overcharge. Not just that, but also with other players embracing the MaxPax opener. If you missed out, I recommend the VOD for ShoWTimE versus MaxPax earlier today. But I think, for example, MaxPax and ShoWTimE, they had mirrored builds in game 2. They had mirrored builds, you know, they both opened up Phoenixes, they ended up in Phoenix Wars, and ShoWTimE just had superior Phoenix War like control and setup there. It was impressive. Like I was very impressed by ShoWTimE in that PvP in those Phoenix Wars in game 2. And that just has to do with how the I wouldn't say necessarily that has to do too much with it when it comes to the tactics of MaxPax or anything like that. Just really solid play by ShoWTimE. But regardless, we're settling in. Regardless, featuring ShoWTimE in different series and different matchup. Let's go. But now Oracle opener. And we should be seeing ShoWTimE just go Oracle into a third base, into triple Oracle, into +1 and Blink. We don't really expect too much deviation here at a ShoWTimE. Really, my eyes are going to be on SHIN. At any moment, does he stop making drones? At any moment, does he throw down extra gases? Does he tech up harder? Does he cut worker production and commit to an all-in? My eyes are mainly on SHIN. But we'll see. Now, I should also talk about the map a little bit as well. Welcome one and all to Persephone. Now, something about Tokamak. Tokamak, the map that we just had in game 1, is one of, if not the most defensive maps of the map pool, where you have a very secure natural, third, and fourth base. Here, the map is more open, and the rush distance by ground is shorter. Bear that in mind. Shorter rush distance by ground, aggression is more favored on Persephone than on Tokamak. As Oracles poke in, Adepts take into the shade, they get 1, they get 2 drones. Do we get 3? Barely not. 2 workers go down for 2 Adepts. That is, I would say, a solid defense here from SHIN. Trading 2 for 2. Behind this, yep, Forge, Twilight Council, +1 and Blink on the horizon here for ShoWTimE. Now, I know that I said that this is a more aggressive map, but going into the details here, as opposed to on Tokamak, you have an entrance towards the third, towards the fourth, and towards the natural as well. If you remember, on Tokamak, this area here in between the bases is walled off. This area is walled off with rocks, so there are less attack paths, which means you are more secure, and there are less kind of avenues for opponents to poke in. Here, it's more open, right? Here, you can poke in to set third base. You even have multiple entrances into the third by knocking down these rocks. Likewise, you can poke in between the bases here at the natural. And as a result, we do see a lot of German taxis on this map. We see a lot of Ling Queen all-ins as well, with Queen walks across the map, Nidus play as well. Rush distance by ground is shorter. Stasis into the main. Stasis will connect. Oh! Does pull away in time. Whew, thankfully. Yeah, it does pull away. Oh my god, that was close. Almost comes back too soon. And SHIN does hold. Behind the SHIN going into +1 melee, this screams Ling Hydra. No Roach Warren this time, so Hydra is on the way, going straight up Ling Hydra instead. Oracles poke in, Master Revelation, getting eyes on the gases, and getting eyes on the Evo Chamber as well. So, more or less, ShoWTimE knows. He knows there's no Roach Warren, he saw the early Evo Chamber, should recognize Ling Hydra. Ooh, behind this, +1 not charge. Sorry, +1 not Blink, +1 in charge. I like this. On a smaller map, on a more aggressive map, okay. This is not standard. This is not necessarily a standard macro setup here as SHIN is getting ready for a Ling run by. This time, no Blink Stalkers, no +1 for that kind of army setup. We have Charge, Archons, and Immortals. This is an earlier push. This is an earlier push. This is ShoWTimE being aggressive instead. We're going for a charge timing. Let's go. Oh, I'm going into mutas. Oh, this is dangerous. This is dangerous here. Spire is on the way. This is dangerous, I would say, for SHIN, because remember, ShoWTimE is moving out soon. ShoWTimE is going to be the one to push, not SHIN. And if SHIN's banking resources for mutas, then he's going to be caught with his pants down. He's going to be caught out in the open. SHIN, he has to recognize how much danger he's in. Hopefully, he does spend everything on Hydras and he does build up an army. We'll see. Right now, waiting for Storm. Waiting for Storm. Storm is on the way. Then ShoWTimE can push. Charge is complete. High Templar gathering energy. Oh. Things, they do hit and they do delay the fourth. Fourth base is delayed. SHIN, he saw all these zealots, so he's aware. He's aware of charge. SHIN knows. Knocking down those rocks. Spire is almost done. And once Storm finishes, ShoWTimE can break out. Will he, though? Like, you can see that ShoWTimE, he's getting ready for an all-in. Like, he's getting ready to be hyper-defensive. But SHIN is just buying time. Muta production has begun. So far, SHIN doing a great job of just keeping ShoWTimE busy. Uh-oh. ShoWTimE, he sees all these exposed Hydras. And ShoWTimE commits. Yeah, ShoWTimE commits. He's going for it. Lings, they just ignores the Lings. Hydras are falling. And Mutas, they won't really help too much here in the defense. As it's all or nothing for ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE is getting a 4th base. Storm has now arrived. And we got to keep going. We got to keep going. Remember, no Banelings. No Banelings to defend. No Lurkers either. Like, SHIN's army is very vulnerable. But ShoWTimE is taking his time. He doesn't know that there are no Lurkers. He doesn't know that there are no Banelings. Like, we can send it. We can send it back. We can send it. We do see SHIN going for a massive counterattack instead. Now ShoWTimE pushes in. But this is late. Yeah, Mutas have arrived. Now he knows. Now he realizes, like, oh, I see what you've done here. Mutas get across the map. ShoWTimE, he has to keep going, but has he waited too long? As there's the recall. And SHIN defends. SHIN, he defends, gets across the map. ShoWTimE did not commit. He will trade quite well defensively, is what I will say. Taking down these Lings at least. Yeah, Lings are going down. The Immortal does survive. But I feel like there was an opportunity there to punish SHIN. And SHIN wasn't punished. And now SHIN, he has map control. Lurker Den is now on the way. Infestation is now on the way. Now, until this tech is ready, SHIN is still vulnerable, is what I will say. That's a lot of Mutas, though. Jesus. That's how many? That's 21 Mutas. Oh, God. And ShoWTimE, he's trying to respond to this. Has to split up his army. 9 probes going down. SHIN, it does feel like he has gotten away with this. Getting 21 Mutas, keeping ShoWTimE contained. Catching at the prism. Yes, Mutas. Oh, they do take some storms to the face. Oh my god, a lot of storms. They take down some High Templar in the process. 4 High Templar going down. We have attempted Phoenixes here from ShoWTimE. Phoenixes are building up. Blink is still not yet done. Denies +1 shields. And you can see how much more comfortable now SHIN is. Bleeds out some some Mutas towards the end there. But now we have 10 Lurkers morphing in. And unlike the previous game, there's no Sky Toss. There's no Tempest this time, right? There's no setup for Tempest, no setup for that Sky Toss switch. This time, Lurkers can reign supreme. So you can see how this kind of style, this kind of composition can work better here with SHIN in control of this game. Just a very different kind of turn of events this time. As Mutas, they get into another mineral line. ShoWTimE is pushing, but at this point it's too late. At this point, now we have 10 Lurkers. Oh, good. Yeah, 10 Lurkers in position. We have a 6 spines on the way. SHIN fully walling up. And ShoWTimE, I'm not so sure he can break this. He's gonna try to, though. Decent storms. Storms on the Lurkers. Where's the Link support, by the way? ShoWTimE is breaking through. He's breaking through the Lurkers. Lurkers going down one after the other. Nice lifts here with the Phoenixes. Very nice. And SHIN out of position. SHIN is racing on over. The Lurkers, they were on their own. 21 drones going down. But I believe SHIN is still going to clean this up. Stasis goes off. Not bad. Stasis does connect. Mutacount gets reset. Very messy fights. Very messy. Very close. SHIN will clean this up, but actually, did I speak too soon? We have reinforcements coming in. Stasis trap is about to run out. Yeah, SHIN holds. Ooh, SHIN does hold, but that was a messy defense is what I will say. That wasn't too clean. Again, Muta's out of position, Lings were out of position, Lurkers were on their own, and ShoWTimE did reset the Lurker count. But he also spent his entire army, right? He spent his entire army in the process. So we're in a really awkward position now. We're like, now it's okay. So from here, SHIN, his economy, that's what's really hurting him. That's what's slowing him down. He is down to 65 drones. That is, sorry, 65 workers. That is a 3-base economy. SHIN, he needs to redrone, needs to start saturating. ShoWTimE does have the better setup. And because that ShoWTimE, he can remax and rebuild that much faster. So the lack of drones is hurting SHIN. Speaking of lack of drones, more drones going down. Uh-oh. Yeah, 3 more drone kills. SHIN, again, we have to start redroning. Fleet beacon's on the way. SHIN commits. Takes down the wall of cannons. 3 cannons going down. The last ShoWTimE, he does rotate, does respond. He's here in time to protect the mineral line. Oh, storm of the lurkers. SHIN trying to force his way in, does catch a couple of pros. Meanwhile, here we go, ShoWTimE, he collapses. He's going for the lift. Takes down 1 more lurker. And ShoWTimE, he will shut this down. Wow, he'll clean up every single lurker. And remember, SHIN can't afford this. He doesn't have the money for it. He can't afford these losses. All the lurkers go down. Brutal pickoffs. A nice engage here from ShoWTimE with the lifts, with the concave as well, with the spread. And SHIN, he's still on 61 drones. That is less than a 3-base economy. He's still undersaturated bottom right, undersaturated bottom left. And now you can see the supply disparity. Now you can see the economy kick in for ShoWTimE. Where he's getting further and further ahead. And this all comes down to the economy. It just comes down to the drones. SHIN going for a Ling run by. Not bad. Catching out a probe. Gets a worker. Moving in towards left as well. SHIN, he's very committed. He has to get damage done with this. He runs into a wall of Immortals. Immortals, they can fight these lurkers. They can trade well. They're built to tank. Lurker lines, they tickle Immortals. And SHIN is just being outscaled. He's just being outscaled at this point. As Storms will zone him away. And again, SHIN, he had a good start. Remember, he had a good start. He was able to get away with his mutas. ShoWTimE missed his window where he could have killed SHIN earlier. So that like everything went as best as it could have for SHIN. As best as it could have, going into mutas, switching into lurker tech. It was just one bad fight for SHIN where he lost all of his lurkers early on. Not just that, but he also lost drones in the mineral land as well. And never redroned. And with that, this will be the final army for SHIN. Immortals, they do push forward. They stack, but it's fine. They can stack. Oh my god, I say that. Couple of Immortals do go down. Here come the charge loss, here come the zealots, here come the lifts. And lurkers, they cleaned up for the 3rd time. GG gets called. SHIN has nothing left, and ShoWTimE will take the series 2-0, taking down SHIN in the round robin group stage. GG. GG, well played. I had doubts. I had doubts in ShoWTimE here in game 2. I was like, yo, we had such a strong timing with Storm, with Archons, with charge loss, and we were so passive and so defensive, but that's what ShoWTimE is known for. True, that's his style. That's his way of playing, of course. And even though he did miss an opportunity to kill SHIN early on, he was able to weather the storm in more ways than one. He was able to weather the storm. He was able to keep up with the mutas. The mutas were getting damage done, but they didn't get too much. They did allow SHIN to tech up into lurkers, but as we saw, once we saw an opening, ShoWTimE did eventually push. He did eventually push out, did eventually break out with his ground army. And he was able to completely break that lurker line. I didn't think he could. I wasn't sure if he was able to break, if he would be able to break that position with 6 spine crawlers and with 10 lurkers. But I have faith in the Immortals, papi. Oh my god. The Immortals and the Storm as well, as we did see ShoWTimE break that position nonetheless, partly also because all the Lings were across the map and all the mutas were across the map as well, so the lurkers were on their own, right? It's like, despite having the equivalent army supply, SHIN, he wasn't really expecting ShoWTimE to commit that hard into lurkers, and SHIN wasn't quite ready for that. GG. GG, well played. ShoWTimE will claim the series, and with that, that wraps up our final match of this broadcast. Let's catch up on those matches. Here we go. From the top, ShoWTimE took down MaxPax 2-0. Started things off with a win. SHIN took down Hero 2-1. Again, that was a very different kind of ZVP. I do recommend it. It was a very fun series. I mean, all the matches tonight were fun. They were all amazing, entertaining in their own way. SHIN going for non-stop all-ins and did have a very messy back and forth with Hero. Came down to the wire multiple times. I'm still thinking of that game on Incorporeal. That was like the highlight of that series. That Incorporeal game was insane. Very close, came down to the wire, pappy. So do recommend it. We had Clem versus Cure. Cure, he was able to all-in Clem on Maganatha. That was also, I want to say, a highlight of the series. I was shocked to see Cure pull that off on the largest map in the map pool. I'm sure Clem was shocked as well. But Cure, he was able to fight back, make a series out of it. In the end, Clem did take the win. Of course, Clem having a dominant performance in his PvZ. Again, Clem is, I would say, the best player in the world. And with that, Clem, he does take the win, looking very strong and very impressive against SHIN. Partially also because of the maps, I will say. I was very surprised to see Last Fantasy and Torches. Those two maps, we only ever featured them in that series. They were vetoed everywhere else for good reason. Like, those are the most vetoed maps in the map pool, and we saw why they often get vetoed. And I'm sure SHIN now knows as well. He's like, I should not. I should probably get rid of these maps. That was crazy. And at the end, of course, to wrap it all up, ShoWTimE versus SHIN. At the end of the broadcast, ShoWTimE showcasing his defensive prowess in game 1, and likewise even here in game 2 as well. Was able to snowball out of control. GG, well played. And with that, we also have the rest of the event to catch up with as well. Un momento here, as I do refresh, I do go over the future results and the rest of the group. Again, !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back of yourselves. One moment as I set this up. There we go. Bam, beautiful. Okay, so we do have our Wikipedia page. This is our group of players. We have 3 Europeans, ShoWTimE, Clem, and MaxPax, and 3 Koreans in SHIN, Hero, and Cure. So this is a 6-player round robin group stage here. We just wrapped up with day 2. Day 1 also already concluded. We unfortunately didn't get to cast day 1. We were casting KSL. This was last week. As you can see here, the 4th of May. The 4th of May, this was last week. This event was actually clashing with the Korean StarCraft League, so we were busy casting KSL, so we were not able to cast day 1, but we had our players pop off here. Cure had a hard time. Cure, I mean, looking at these matches here, he had a really hard time in day 1, and he did recover a little bit here in day 2 at least, but wasn't able to take maps off of ShoWTimE, MaxPax, or Hero. Clem took down Hero 2-1, went to the ace match. We do expect them to trade back and forth, and SHIN took down MaxPax. That, I would say, is an upset. I would definitely call that an upset. SHIN took down Max, and really that shows like how terrifying SHIN can be. SHIN took down MaxPax, SHIN took down Hero, but SHIN fell to ShoWTimE. So again, I would imagine that different stylistic tendencies kind of clashing against each other, different styles clashing, I should say, with MaxPax, Hero, and ShoWTimE all up against SHIN. So really impressive back and forth that we're having here. And we have tomorrow's matches. MaxPax versus Hero, another PvP to start things off. We then have SHIN versus Cure, Clem versus MaxPax, ShoWTimE versus Hero, another PvP, and ShoWTimE versus Clem. So we have a couple of mirror matchups here, but overall we are going to be wrapping up the group stage tomorrow. In 24 hours, in less than 24 hours. So do tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. And that leads us into the playoffs. Now, the playoffs is going to be an interesting format. We have a gold match, which is like first place match, bronze match, third place match, and silver match, second place match. I'm curious how this is all played out. I would imagine we play the gold match first. No, we work up from the silver match. It's gonna yeah. Gold match first to find out the #1 player, followed by the bronze match and then the silver match. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting format. It isn't a bracket, I suppose, so no bracket here. The top 2 seeded players will be facing off against each other, and then we get to find out the third placing and second placing players as well. So a bit of a different system here for the playoffs, but that'll be next week. As you can see here, 1 week from now here on the channel will be the playoffs of the May Madness. So do check that out, do tune in. Actually, I don't know if we can cast this live next week. I mentioned earlier that last week we couldn't cast day 1 because of KSL. Next week, it could be the same situation actually. Double checking. Next week. Oh no, sorry. Next week we're free. Oh, KSL, they're skipping a week. Okay, fortunately, KSL is not next week. It's skipping a week. It's coming back on the 24th. So with KSL skipping a week, we should be fine. Yeah, we should be fine to cast this. We should be good. Okay, good. I was a little bit concerned about our schedule, but we should be able to cover this live as well, so do check that out. Likewise, when it comes to our schedule, as you can see here, we are live multiple times a day, every single day for the most part. What's the word I'm looking for? My New Year's resolution, there we go. My New Year's resolution is to have some more free afternoons off. Typically, we cast twice a day, every single day, but coming into 2025, I did want to try to ease up on the gas a little bit when it comes to our casting, and now we have 2 half days off, Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday and Thursday, some half days off here and there to take a break and to get some rest, but outside of that, we are live multiple times a day, every single day. We just wrapped up with our Saturday broadcast, and we are live again with Duckling Open at 7 p.m. KST. That is going to be at 8 p.m. AEST. That is going to be us live in 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. We're going to be back with Duckling Open. If you're curious, what is SDO? What is Duckling Open? That is a monthly bronze to diamond tournament. It is a tournament that we actually started back in 2017. That's actually where the CranKy Ducklings began. Back in 2017, we weren't casting pro tournaments, we were casting amateur tournaments. We were hosting our own tournaments for bronze players, for diamond players, for masters players as well. We were hosting our own events, and eventually we decided, over the years, we branched out into casting, pro events and pro players. That was over in 2019. That was like 2 years later. But because we started with Duckling Open, we still run it. We still run it no longer as a weekly. Now it's a monthly. We don't have the time to host it as often as we did, but we are still able to host it somewhat regularly as a monthly tournament. Fun fact, because we actually did host these tournaments back in the day, there are a lot of pro players like Baby Marine, like Mixu, like Oreo, like Ruichi as well. There are certain players, there's another one, GG Machine. There are certain players that are young, that are GMs now, that are more established pros, that we actually casted when they were diamond. we actually casted them back in 2017, 2018 as diamond players, and it was really cool to see them grow up and improve and excel. That's the purpose of our tournaments, of course. These amateur tournaments, they're a reason for players to improve, a reason for players to compete, and every now and then you get one player that has that competitive drive to keep going, keep improving, and eventually, go pro. And that's happened a couple of times. Not like it happens to every player. The hundreds of players that we've covered in Duckling Open, out of those hundreds of players, like a handful of them do ever, go that far and go the distance and hit GM and become pros or semi-pros. But it happens every now and then. It does happen. So it is really cool whenever that does occur. That's kind of one of the big reasons why we do host these events for amateur players. So that is going to be in 3.5 hours. Likewise, we also have the Brazilian StarCraft 2 circuit. That's going to be at 3 MKST. We have tomorrow's May Mayhem, and we also have Sparkling Tuna Cup tomorrow afternoon as well. So plenty of content throughout the weekend. Again, that Brazilian StarCraft 2 circuit is the lead up to a big offline event in Sao Paulo. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft. Consider following to tune in, because we are live non-stop here on the channel. Always live. Hello, Karoya. Hello. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Just catching up with the chat. Just catching up. Here we go. But from that, we are going to be wrapping up. With that, we're going to be wrapping up. We're going to be ending our broadcast for the time being. Again, we're going to be back in 3.5 hours. Until then, I'm going to go get some food. I'm going to get some food, get some rest, and get ready for the next broadcast. Most likely get a nap as well. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Who is live at the moment? Who can we raid? Who can we send everyone over to? Also, you can also support us monetarily if you wish via Patreon, !Patreon in the chat. All of the tournaments that we host, like Duckling Open and Sparkling Tuna Cup as well, they're all funded via Patreon. As you can see here, you can see Duckling Open, Sparkling Tuna Cup, and Masters One Open as well. These are our weekly and monthly tournaments, all funded via Patreon. You can see our goal just under the graphic. On Patreon as well, we currently earn 451 USD a month out of 500. That is our next goal, and again, 100% of that money goes towards the players. It all goes towards prize pools. So you can help support us there if you wish. Otherwise, follow the channel. That's all that we ask. Whether you follow us here on Twitch or on YouTube, if you see something in our schedule that does pique your interest, but if you can't watch it live, YouTube is the place to be. All the VODs are uploaded to YouTube on a daily basis. Plenty of VODs on YouTube, so that is where the content is. Again, we cast more StarCraft than any other channel out there, more than any other of the casters. That's what we take our pride in. We have the quantity and a little bit of the quality as well, but we have the quantity back. Of course. All the content, all the casting, all the StarCraft. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later tonight, or we'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego. Thanks for watching. Do appreciate it.